My name is Layla, and I believe in justice for the Menendez brothers, for the simple reason that they did not ask to be born into a life of abuse. They didn't ask for the media nor the justice system to make a mockery of what's a very nuanced case. Evidently, 30 plus years later, we still have a long way to go, which is why I will continue to believe in justice for Eric and Lyle.
My name is Christina, and I support the Menendez brothers because I know and believe that they were victims of sexual abuse at the hands of their parents. I believe that they had an unfair second trial, and had they been tried today, they would not have been given the same sentence. So as always, free the Menendez brothers.
My name is Megan, and I support Eric and Lyle Menendez because I believe in second chances. They are the definition of prison reform, and they are no longer the boys they were at 18 and 21. Justice for the Menendez brothers.
Hello, my name is Angela Doss. I'm a supporter of Eric and Lyle Menendez. I have followed and supported their case throughout the years, and as a survivor myself, I have always believed them.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and I'm making this video in support of Lyle and Eric Menendez. I think they've served more than enough time and should be released from prison. Justice for Lyle and Eric Menendez.
Justice. That's what we're asking for.
Justice.
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 Members of the Menendez brothers family and advocates for criminal justice reform for the first time holding a public rally, hoping to ramp up support for Eric and Lyle's release after the Los Angeles district attorney delivered them a major blow, announcing he would not be supporting the brothers' resentencing effort.
We will not stop fighting for Eric and Lyle, for justice, and for the truth.
For more than 35 years, Eric and Lyle Menendez have been incarcerated for their 1989 killings of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. They have been denied the chance at freedom. The world saw headlines about a Beverly Hills murder.
They were just people that you see every day. I mean, I can't believe this.
But it didn't see the years of hidden trauma behind closed doors. During their first trial, what came out was shocking, heartbreaking, and consistent. The brothers were survivors of long-term physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, beginning in childhood and continuing into their teenage years. Therapists confirmed it, experts confirmed it, family members confirmed it.
Well, he told me his father was massaging his dick.
The jury heard the truth, but everything changed in the second trial. Judge Stanley Weisberg restricted abuse testimony and limited key witnesses.
Second trial, the judge basically said we're not going to have all that abuse excuse. We're going to severely limit it. It's not coming in.
In court proceedings, he made statements suggesting that men could not be raped, a belief that directly shaped how Eric and Lyle's experiences were treated. The brothers were judged with the full picture. Their truth was erased, and they were sentenced to life without parole. It's important to understand what was happening around this case at the time. In the mid-1990s, California prosecutors were under intense pressure to secure convictions, especially after the O.J. verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
There was a public demand for a clear win, and the Menendez case became part of that moment.
I don't know, but I cried when it came in, I'll tell you. I cried. I was in the Van Nuys courthouse.
I thought all defense attorneys wanted him not guilty.
No, I said this is bad for the boys and everybody else. It's going to be payback.
Former prosecutor Pamela Bazanish, who worked on the case, has continued to this day to publicly say she does not believe the abuse occurred.
They are pathological practice liars.
She repeats this position in interviews and in the Netflix documentary, openly dismissing the brothers' testimony as a lie. At the same time, the courtroom reflected deeply outdated beliefs. So when Eric and Lyle Menendez were sentenced to life without parole in 1996, it wasn't just a legal decision. It was shaped by politics, public pressure, and a system that refused to believe male survivors. That's the injustice we've been fighting ever since. To understand the full picture, you have to hear the truth in the brothers' own words.
Ages of 6 and 8. Did your father have sexual contact with you?
Yes.
we would be in the bathroom, and he would put me on my knees, and he would guide me, all my movements, and I would have oral sex with him.
What do you believe was the originating cause of you and your brother ultimately winding up shooting your parents?
Me telling.
You telling what?
Me telling Lyle that,
Okay, is you telling Lyle what?
my dad had been molesting me. I wanted it to stop.
This wasn't a story invented years later. This was testimony from the early 1990s, raw, painful, and honest. After being sentenced in 1996, Eric and Lyle were separated for more than 20 years, 2 decades without each other, 2 decades of isolation. It took the system over 20 years to reunite them in the same prison. That separation became another punishment no sentence ever required. I started following this case back in October 2024 when Netflix's Monster came out. I didn't watch it at first, but people who knew the facts said it was inaccurate. Suddenly, millions were talking about Eric and Lyle again, and that's when I wanted to learn the truth for myself. Online, I found others who felt the same. Some related to their story, others simply wanted justice. And before I knew it, this wasn't something I was just watching. I was a part of it. Around that time, District Attorney George Gascon announced the brothers could be resentenced, removing life without parole.
To the court that the life without the possibility of parole be removed.
That moment went viral. Then Governor Gavin Newsom stepped in and set a clemency date. Hope was everywhere. Celebrities spoke out.
Crossing my fingers, and I'm hoping that we bring him home.
An advocate spoke out. For the first time in decades, change seemed possible. But then everything shifted when Nathan Hochman took office. It felt like the door slammed shut. He ignored the abuse, and he's repeated the old 90s narrative. He's re-traumatized their family with sudden hearings and harsh statements. He's trying to control the story and the public perception. In March 2025 in Los Angeles, a public rally was held demanding justice for Eric and Lyle. Our supporter friend Jules stood up to him on live television, reminding us why our voices matter.
I would tell him that he needs to do his research a lot better, and that I am so disappointed and very disgusted by the way that he has treated not only the victim's family, but other victims.
Going to the California rally was the first time I had ever done something like that. Meeting people I had only known online, but it felt like I'd known them forever. Our friend Regina created a huge poster board with Eric and Lyle's photos and their accomplishments, and even their supporters' names. The poster ended up in the news articles, and Robert Rand, author of the Menendez book, posted us on Instagram. But it wasn't about us being seen. It was about making them visible. One moment I'll never forget was when a family member came up to thank us for being there. That hit me deeply. We weren't just supporters anymore. We were standing with their family. We also met Ana Maria, their cousin, who has been fighting for them for over 36 years. On TikTok, she speaks out constantly, reminding the world why this case still matters. But it's not just her. Eric and Lyle's family has remained supportive for decades, standing by them through every appeal, every setback, and every loss of hope. Another part of this movement has been our friend Regina. She's done countless lives to keep people informed and connected. Through Regina's live streams, we connected with people like rapper X-Rated, who served time with the brothers, and Gabriel Rosales, who works inside the prison they are being held at, who has shared how much Eric and Lyle have grown over the years. His voice carries the truth not everyone gets to hear.
Peace, everybody. My name is Gabriel Rosales. I'm a professional musician, formerly incarcerated, but I'm also a program provider at RJ Donovan State Prison, doing a rehabilitative songwriting class that I've called Jail Guitar Doors, a nonprofit that I've been working with for the past 7 years. And that is where I met Eric and Lyle Menendez, who are both housed on Echo facility, and a different kind of pilot yard, integrating populations and giving people the the agency and autonomy to actually kind of lead their own rehabilitation. And through my experiences with Eric and Lyle, we've been working on some very big projects together. I first came in contact with Eric. Him and I practiced the same type of meditation, so I attended his meditation class, and him and his students who were so diligent and focused. I was very inspired. I wanted to help get them, just meditation cushions and things that would help them continue this practice. And through Eric, eventually started working with Lyle. He has these different ideas about rehabilitation. He's been in the system. Obviously, both of them have been in the system for so long, and seeing how rehabilitation typically hasn't been working for many different reasons, but a huge part of it is the environment. And Lyle just realized, these Norwegian, Scandinavian countries, a lot of these green spaces make people feel like they're ready to embrace the rehabilitation. They feel like their community's invested in them, and they have this want to change. When you go to classes and you come out and you're still in gravel, you're still wearing your blues, and there's just no color on the yard, and it's just glass and concrete, it really depletes the humanity out of it. So Lyle has been trying to implement these ideas of creating this green space at a facility for years now, and so finally we have traction. It's taken many iterations of teams to kind of create this, but both of them have been super focused on just creating the best environment for incarcerated folks, because a lot of times, people that are life without possibility of parole, though they are never going to come out, the way they make a living amends is actually trying to aid those who will be released back in the community. And Eric and Lyle are a testimony to people that have this mentality. If I'm not going to get out, I want to make sure that this person's okay when they get out. And so I've had the honor of working with both of them for years now. It's coming up on about 3 or 4 years of pretty intense meetings and just connecting and trying to connect dots and build this thing. So yeah, it's a pleasure. It's been an honor. They're great dudes. I can't wait for them to be out. I know they will be out 100%. It's just a matter of time.
Hearing Gabriel speak about Eric and Lyle showed who they truly are. Not the version the media created, but who they are in real life. They talked about the programs they built, the people they've helped, and the lives they want to lead when they're free. That's why this movement exists. When they were resentenced to life with parole in May, it felt like the world shifted again. That was a day we will never forget, because they finally got a chance at life again. They were no longer life without parole, finally freedom. But when parole was denied, everything felt heavy. We cried, we questioned how the board could ignore their spotless records, their accomplishments, their humanity. Others with worse crimes get paroled, so why not them? That's the thing I'll never understand. When I found out Governor Gavin Newsom originally set a clemency date for them, I remember feeling a spark of hope, like maybe someone in power finally understood. And then he replaced the clemency with a parole hearing. I didn't know how to feel. It wasn't a no, but it wasn't the justice they deserved either. It almost felt like he was afraid to take a stand. But still, it was movement. It meant the state of California could no longer ignore the truth, but in the end, both paths were denied. Around that time, something else stood out to me. Some huge public figures who once spoke out about this case, like Kim Kardashian, suddenly went completely silent when parole was denied. And it made me wonder, what happened? How do you speak out loudly when a topic is trending, but disappear the moment things get difficult? I felt like once the attention died down, so did their interest. And while some people walked away from the case, the media walked right back into the same pattern from the 1990s.
They're great. I mean, they're a little basic, honestly, but they're nice, they're simple.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
But then, the moment we stepped out the door, everyone immediately assumed we were dressed as something else.
The Menendez brothers.
Turning trauma into entertainment.
Menendez brothers. Yeah, getting out of jail just in time to get deported. Trump is gonna deport their ass, you murdering Mexicans.
Menendez brothers, what a story. Too bad your lawyer couldn't do what your dad did. Get you off.
People mocking their pain for views. Seeing these clips hurt because they show exactly how the world still treats their story. Not with understanding, not with compassion, but with laughter. Even today, after decades of evidence, testimony, and proof, there are still people who refuse to believe the truth. This isn't new. In the 1990s, society didn't want to acknowledge that boys could be victims of this kind of abuse. It wasn't talked about. It wasn't accepted. Survivors, especially male survivors, were dismissed or mocked. The brothers weren't just battling the legal system. They were battling a culture that refused to believe people like them could be hurt in that way. The crowds may be smaller now. The news cameras still come. The public moved on. But the commitment didn't. We still show up. We still spread the truth. We still refuse to give up. This movement changed me. I relate to their story in my own way, and that part I keep to myself. But it made me fight for others too, like Roy from Menudo, whose voice was silenced for years. Because this isn't just about Eric and Lau. It's about every survivor who was ignored, dismissed, or forgotten. One of the moments I'll never forget was when Eric himself thanked us for the emotional support we've given to him and his brother and their family. Out of respect, I won't share that message, but I will never forget how it made me feel. It reminded me that what we're doing matters, even when it feels small, even when it feels slow, even when the world isn't watching. The next parole date is 2027. That's our hope. That's our goal. And until that day comes, we'll keep showing up. We'll keep speaking out. We'll keep pushing forward. One voice, one post, one step at a time, demanding justice.
We're gonna walk it out and move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again, and I'll rise up high like the waves, I'll rise up in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. Yeah, we'll rise, we'll rise, we'll rise. We'll rise, I'll rise up, rise like the day, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the aches, I'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again, for you.